Thank you for joining us. I'm Allison Wyckoff. I'm the Director of Exhibitions for the San Francisco Public Library, and it is such an honor to host the Light Within the Shadows, Voices from Our Community and From Within San Quentin Artist Talk and Community Dialogue. We've got the artist El Cid here tonight. Yeah. I've been watching the mural come to life over the last few days, and it's just such a spectacular scene. I hope that if you haven't already, please, you take the time after tonight's conversation to go out and look at the wall. It's on Hyde Street, right at Grove. It's on the side of the Orpheum. It's huge and bright and dynamic, and it's really bringing life into a neglected corridor. So we're so thankful for this program, for this project, and for the people who are making it happen. We have with us tonight Kyle Winchell, who is the Executive Director and co-founder of Skunk Works, or San Quentin Skunk Works. Joy Bannon is here. Joy is the mother of Kai Bannon, who is one of the other co-founders of San Quentin Skunk Works. And we will hear from folks who have been impacted by the carceral system and by this project, these projects that Skunk Works is creating to bring beauty and humanity inside the prison. The El Cid San Quentin Skunk Works project highlights the power of the arts to heal, to inform, to connect people, and to share stories. And I'm really proud to be able to offer anything that the library can do to highlight this incredible initiative. In addition to proximity, there are many threads that tie the library to this project. We have exhibitions and related programs that provide a platform for local artists and community members working across media to explore the rich stories of the Bay Area and beyond. And this is an extension of that. As a free, open public space, we offer zero barrier access to the arts and help to sustain a healthy ecosystem in a time when so many museums and galleries are closing. The library's Jail and Reentry Services program has been operating since 2018 and provides dedicated library service to incarcerated adults, including in-jail library services and reference by mail and reentry support. JARS has also been serving youth at the Juvenile Justice Center for almost 20 years. Then we have the Bridge at Maine, which is our continuing education center that offers support and information for individuals who have been formerly incarcerated or detained and are in the process of returning home. The Bridge assists in connecting people involved in the reentry process with the public library and other available local community resources. So there's really just a great intersection of arts and advocacy and education, happening here that I'm really glad the library can be a part of. Before I pass the mic, I'd like to recognize that the San Francisco Public Library occupies the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone people, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We recognize that the Ramaytush Ohlone understand the interconnectedness of all things and have maintained harmony with nature for millennia. So we've got a full program tonight. Let's get started by welcoming Kai Winchell and Joy Bannon.
Thank you so much, Allison, and it's great to see everyone here coming out to learn more about the way incarceration impacts lives and to hear about how artwork can help transform the lives of both people who are incarcerated and those people who are system impacted. We're going to hear a couple of stories written by a couple of our impact team members, guys who are incarcerated inside. One of them is our co-founder, Kai Bannon. His mom is going to come read a story that he wrote.
Thank you all for being here. So I'm the mother of Kai Bannon, and I wanted to share his story in his words. This is the origin story of San Quentin Skunk Works. It's titled, A Story Worth Telling the People You Love. For more than 3 years, I lived in a world with no color, not metaphorically, literally. In the Los Angeles County jail system, there are no cell windows, no views, nothing that lets the outside world seep in. Light arrives sickly and sour, filtered through fluorescent tubes that hum gleefully as they're chewing on your nerves. Sleep comes in fragments. Noise never does. The place is designed for disorientation. No clocks, constant noise, constant threat, and a schedule that has no compassion in it anywhere. Once a week, if the guards remembered or felt like it, we went to the roof for an hour or two. Sunlight, yes, but the view of the city was blocked by green mesh panels, a geometry of enforced blindness. Downtown Los Angeles was all around us. It was close enough to feel its heat rising off the streets, yet intentional design made the entire city vanish. The rest of the week was 24 hours a day in a beige box that corroded your mind the way that rust claims steel. First a stain, then a weakness, and then a collapse. Then came reception, another tiny shared cell, a dirt patch surrounded by razor wire for yard time. After that, it was High Desert State Prison, same dirt patch, identical building, identical logic. And it's not just the physical environment that's deliberately impoverished. It's everything that we can touch, hold, or care about. Even the things we're allowed to buy all feel like they're bought on the boardwalk, cheap, earnest lies of what real things are supposed to be. For years, I couldn't get a real pen, only thin plastic refills, as if handwriting were a skill that we no longer needed. I white-knuckled hundreds of pages before I realized I could build a pen casing with paper and soap. The food follows the same logic, punishment disguised as empty calories, a steady diet of things meant to dull rather than sustain. We now know the brain responds to what it's given, and here it's given almost nothing. But one day in the chow hall, a small miracle arrived, disguised as breakfast. The usual 6-ounce plastic bag of nameless juice, the color of copper runoff, and whatever passes for juice when fruit is nowhere in the recipe. In its place sat a tiny cardboard carton, real packaging, a printed emblem, and on its front, a cluster of red cherries. Not rust red, not the dull, oxidized splatter of blood or ochre brick stain that you would see on concrete. A bright, clean, living red, the first real red I'd seen in years. The color of the accent wall in my home. The color of something that belonged to a world where I once had a life. Sorry, that's a hard one for me. We weren't supposed to take anything from the chow hall, but I put that carton in my pocket like it was contraband worth dying for. Back in my cell, I folded it into a small, perfect box to store my single-serving coffee packets. A little cube of forbidden color. I built a shelf for it using paper, soap, and a length of salvage string. A tiny engineering project where I could store my single-serve coffee in synthetic sugar packets, not on the floor. The box sat there like an altarpiece, cherries on a white field, bright as a wound and just as honest. Every morning I looked at that box before I looked at anything else. And for a few seconds, I remembered that the world held color, that somewhere far away, things could be vivid again. And that's where this story begins, with the hunger for color, with the knowledge of what happens to a mind when everything around it is built to flatten the senses. And with the question that followed me all the way to San Quentin, what if a single bright red memory could grow into a mural that gives us, all of us, a story worth telling the people that we love. Thank you.
Thank you once again. That's Joy, Kai's mom. I'm Joshua. I'm a volunteer with San Quentin Skunk Works, and until recently, I was doing laps with Kai and the rest of the Skunk Works team in San Quentin, where I was incarcerated. And so it truly feels like kind of a full circle moment to think back to those early days when we were dreaming big and people were telling us that things like this were impossible. And now we're here to share this historic dual mural project with you here in San Francisco and San Quentin. So, you know, no matter your circumstances, don't stop dreaming, don't stop believing. And no matter how dull your circumstances might be, just splash some color in there and I'm sure you'll feel better about things. So I do want to take a moment to thank some of our funders, the San Francisco Foundation, the Threshold Foundation were very generous to help make this project possible, as well as many individual donors, and of course the artist, incredibly generous with his time and resources to come and make this all happen. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading a story that we collected from the inside. We had a series of kind of listening events where we were collecting stories about what is it like, you know, inside, what is the community experience, and not just those who are incarcerated, but also those who work there. And that was something that the artist definitely wanted to help inform, you know, his concept for the art and his approach to the art, so that it's part of that lived experience is kind of baked into the art. And so I'm going to be sharing a piece with you now that is from the other side of the coin, if you will, from the staff. And there's a joke that they like to say that they're doing life 8 hours at a time. Now, of course, it's very different, but still. And that's one thing that we believe in, is being inclusive. We certainly don't agree with people who are incarcerated, or people who have made mistakes being excluded, and we don't want to exclude anyone else too. They're all part of the community. So this is titled "The Walls Go With You." I went to talk to the desk cops, the officers assigned to our building. They mostly just sit there, waiting to spring into action, sure, but mostly just sitting, watching, killing time. I told them about the mural project and asked what it was like to work here, what they thought of us. One of them nodded slowly. Then he said, "I don't hate you guys, even though a lot of people here have done terrible, messed up things. I try to see the humanity in people, but doing this job is hard." He leaned back in his chair, arms folded. "Did you know we only get about 5 years on average after we retire? 5 years to live. That's it. Captain Arnold didn't even make it one. Cancer got him. I know others who've died of heart attacks on the job. How many times just this year someone died in a tower or fallen asleep at the wheel driving home after a double shift and never made it? It's not healthy." The conversation opened up from there. Another officer spoke. "You forget that normal people don't talk like we do. We curse all the time. At work, it's how we survive. F this, F that, all day. But out there, you say one thing the wrong way and people look at you like you're crazy. And you're like, what? What did I say?" He laughed, but it wasn't joyful. "It's like prison leaks out of you, even when you're not in uniform." I felt something shift as I listened, realizing how familiar that sounded, that constant edge, the way language mutates around survival. I thought some of it was just us. He kept going. "You catch yourself doing weird shit in public, like you're at the grocery store and you walk behind someone and you bark, 'Behind you!' Like you're back on the tier, and they look at you like you're insane, and you realize, damn, that's not normal. But it's automatic. You're not trying to scare anyone. It's just how your body is wired. Now it doesn't turn off because you're holding a shopping basket." Another chimed in. "Not sleeping messes you up too. Not just tired, real damage. Your memory, your judgment, your patience. It all goes to shit. And you don't even notice how bad it's gotten until someone else does. I recognized it more than I wanted to admit. The jumpiness, the scanning, the sense that everyone is always watching, or worse, not watching at all. Another officer added, "The hours are brutal. Most of us end up doing doubles, back to back. You want to make real money? You have to kill yourself for it. So much overtime. Some guys don't even go home. They sleep in trailers out behind the walls." I said, "That must be tough. I can imagine if you haven't slept, it's easy to snap at guys in here." He looked at me like I didn't understand. "Snap at you? No. When I'm at work, I do my best to stay professional. That's the job. I don't take it out on people in here. It's my family that gets it." He paused and then added, 2 days on, a couple of doubles, then a 2-hour drive home. I walk in the door and I'm like, "Damn it, just make me some chicken." And my kids, I'm like, "Leave daddy the heck alone. I just want to sit and eat." Another voice, quiet until now, "You know we can't have real friends, not unless they're cops. We're too effed up." I didn't say anything. I just nodded, some part of me registering how the walls don't stop at the gate. Then he continued, "I heard this prison joke from an inmate. It was nasty, but I thought it was funny. We all laughed. I told it to a few other COs. They laughed too. So I'm at a dinner with my wife and her friends, had a few drinks, and I tell it. They all just stared at me. No one got it," he said. My wife yelled at me the whole ride home, "Why would you say that? Why would you think that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I thought it was funny." Then another officer cut in, like he couldn't hold it back. He'd had the exact same experience. Looking at them, they all had. That landed hard. The kind of revelation that stays in the air long after it's said. Then the first tier officer, almost trying to break the tension, pulled out a calculator, started tapping. "Let's do the math," he said. 60 hours per week, multiplied by 52 weeks a year, divided by 24. He turned the screen towards me. 131 days a year. That's how much time we spend inside. A third of every year. And to that time spent driving, sleeping, work-related errands, year after year, it's not so great. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua and Joy, for reading those pieces. We're going to take 2 minutes to watch an animated short that our outside group of volunteers put together. It's animating a story also told by our guys inside. It serves to elucidate the differences in value for items that people have incarcerated versus in the free world. Something like a fan might have some value for us on the outside, but for people inside prisons, you know, fans are quite important when it's so hot. So we're just going to take a quick look at that.
You don't know love until you've loved a fan with a broken base, half the blades missing, wired up with a twist tie, powered by hope. That ain't a metaphor. That's my actual fan. Her name's Lucille. She ain't pretty, but she moves air like redemption. See, something's in here hit different. You ever try sleeping on a vinyl mat, sweat puddling in your lower back crease, shirt off, towel rolled up like a sad burrito under your neck, and you live on the 5th tier of West Block, where the windows don't open and the air don't move unless you bribe it? Nah, you don't survive that. You simmer, you marinate. You become a slow-cooked steak commodity, unless you got a fan. Not just any fan, your fan. You guard it like commissary. Wipe her clean with a sock. Rig her with cardboard fins if the wind feel lazy. You learn her moods. Sometimes she purr. Sometimes she rattle like a shopping cart with a record. But she move air, and that's love. Suddenly break the cord, that's violence. You don't just borrow another man's fan. That's how riots start. You wake up and she ain't spinning, panic, existential dread. Tier-wide, FEMA-level emergency. I done seen grown men talk sweet to a fan like she's the only woman who never let him down. And honestly, she is. She don't judge. She don't change. She don't tell you silly about your night terrors or your foot itch. She just blows every time. So yeah, laugh if you want. Say it's just plastic and copper and heat stroke desperation. But I tell you what, I ain't cried over a woman in years. But when Lucille fell off the shelf last summer and cracked down the middle, I took the day off work and told her my girl died.
So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the actual project, about the Chiaroscuro project, Light Within the Shadows, and then we're going to have Elseed, our gracious artist, come up and give a talk for a bit. So what Skunkworks is, the organization behind the murals, is a collection of incarcerated people with lived experiences that still have value. And so our goal is to combine those lived experiences with the expertise of professionals on the outside in the real world to tackle the problems with the criminal justice system. One of the problems that exist within prisons is just a general lack of color, right? When I was incarcerated, the only color that I saw at San Quentin was the green of the CO's uniforms, the blues that I wore and everyone else wore, occasionally some oranges and whites, but that's it. You have concrete and bars, and there's no color, there's no shine, there's no light. And it's our view that having color in prisons creates a transformational change, right? It's an environmental change. It should promote well-being for both the incarcerated people and the correctional officers. So as part of that goal, we've brought in artists to paint murals inside San Quentin, the first of whom was Faith 47, a South African artist, and her son Kiatama, to whom we're incredibly grateful for their support. They came in and did the first piece, and now we have Elseed, who's offered his time to come and paint. And his art carries a little bit more weight because it's not just art inside San Quentin, it's art inside San Quentin that matches the outside, right? And so I'm now going to invite Elseed to come up and to talk a little bit about the project.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Elseed. I'm an artist originally from France and Tunisia, or Tunisia and France. And what I do, I create large-scale installation, painting and sculpture. And usually I try to connect the artwork that I create with the place where I'm creating it using Arabic calligraphy. So I've created this kind of visual language inspired by Arabic calligraphy where I write messages, but those messages you cannot actually read them, you decipher them if you're familiar with Arabic. And the idea of that for me was when I was born and raised in France from Tunisian parent. This whole thing started as a quest of identity and not knowing if I was French or Tunisian. I ran at some point when I was a teenager into my Arabic identity, learning how to read and write Arabic, and that's how I discovered calligraphy. And at this time I was doing graffiti, and I brought them together. And the more I was digging into my Arabic identity, I realized that I would never be able to do what I do if I didn't have this French identity. And I realized that actually my art, the medium that I was using, was creating this bridge, between two cultures that seems to be different when actually they're not. And then I kept using this to create those bridges between people, culture, and generation. And my work is really anchored into community. So I try to create artwork that resonates to the people, to the place where I'm creating my artwork, and making sure that also I give ownership of the piece that I create. So a year ago, actually in January 2025, Skunkworks reached out to me by email, and a member of my team told me there is this organization in California. They would love you to come and do something there. And would you be interested into that, just to get a call with them? I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's see, what can be done. So then I didn't know, actually. I had a call with Kai, and I had no idea, I didn't know actually he was inside the prison the first time I spoke with him. And Joe Garcia, who's unfortunately not here today, he just got an injury. I wish him well, and he's going to be there on Saturday, I think. Anyway, so we had this conversation. They explained me, the organization and what they've been doing, and then I was like, yeah, I'm interested in doing something with you, but I had to think about it. I didn't want to just come, to San Quentin prison and just do an artwork and leave. Just for me was I didn't want it to feel like decoration. I wanted to have like a layer of depth and meaning, and I told them to wait a bit, to let me think, and it took it took a few months, I think. I think I give you like the okay in August, I guess, or something like that. Yeah, and then what I had in mind was to create a conversation. You know what I mean? I didn't want to come and to speak about. I'm not making a project about the prison system in the U.S. That's not what I'm doing. I'm really trying to create a dialogue between the inside and the outside world. And then I was like, I would love to create actually one piece that will be inside the prison and create the exact same piece outside the prison. So the idea would be that when you're in San Quentin and you look at the wall, it's like you're looking at what's outside, and when you're here in the street in front of a public library and you're looking at the wall, it's like you're looking at what's inside the prison. And so symbolically it's a conversation, and symbolically when you're looking at the mural at the same time as somebody else, like you're at the same place. So that was the idea behind the project, and this came up. The idea, I give the credit to my daughter. When she was younger, every time I travel, I used to say like, look, if you look at the moon and I look at the moon at the same time as you, it's like we're looking at each other's eyes. So that's why we call the project this way. And yeah, just to come back to the whole idea of this project, I came like for the first time to San Quentin last week, and I was very surprised, I was not expecting this, to see what I saw. I think what they're doing there, it's quite avant-gardist, because I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I felt I was inside a university campus, honestly. It was weird to me, honestly, when I came in. They're like a newspaper, like a media team, and you have a library, and you see actually the inmates like walking, it felt totally safe, and we're doing the project in this new extension of San Quentin, where they build a new building, that will host, I think there's a new library, they're giving class there as well. So it's quite interesting, and we have creating the mural there with two inmates, Jeremy and Jordan, who came today, and we're creating also this piece outside that hopefully will finish on Saturday. And I was telling you at the beginning of this that I use messages, and for me it was really important that I find something that would resonate, with the people here in San Francisco, the people of San Quentin, but that could be also relevant to somebody anywhere around the world. So I found this beautiful quote from Armistead Maupin, who is, may I say Maupin? I don't know if in the US you say Maupin. I don't know. He wrote like a series of novels called The Tales of the City between 1976 and 2022 or 23. And so he speaks about the people of San Francisco, and in one of his novels he said, the world changes in direct proportion to the number of people willing to be honest about their lives. So I was like, this is what I'm going to use on this project, and I feel it resonates perfectly, with what San Quentin is doing. And yeah, so far it's been an amazing experience, meeting people here also in downtown San Francisco, creating this dialogue, and in the prison, from the staff, from the officer, the administration, the med staff, the inmate, the prisoner. We met the whole community, and yeah, it's like I said, I think this project is beyond us. That's why I just didn't want to do it inside the prison. I hope it will create this conversation about, not about the justice system, but the way, this rehabilitation system, and how when somebody accepts maybe to say, okay, I did a mistake, I'm willing to change, how us as society, we will look at him or her. So yeah, this is it. If you have any question, I know there's slides of my work for the people who are not familiar, but I don't want to speak about my previous stuff. This is just a piece I did a few years ago. I've been painting, thank God, all around the world, and I'm really happy and privileged to be here with you today. So, yeah. Thank you.
I'm now going to have Elseed and Mr. Strange, you guys can come take a seat up front. I'll join you in a second. We're going to do what we're calling a community dialogue. What we imagine this as is program-specific Q&A, art-specific Q&A. If you have questions about how the program's impacting people at San Quentin, or if you have questions for Elseed in particular, feel free to raise them. After this, we'll have an open Q&A that'll be just about anything that you have, if it's about incarceration, the impact of incarceration on well-being, or about art in prison, whatever it is, we'll take general questions after that, or after the program-specific questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The piece that you were talking about, Mr. El Said, is it you here in the library? Or?
It's outside, actually, on the street. It's actually on the Orpheum Theater, so it's like the three side of the building. Yeah, so we're not done yet. Hopefully by Saturday.
Is it unveiled yet?
No, I mean, you come in the street, you see it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so just to clarify, on the wall of the Orpheum Theater right out here, you can check it out on your way out. And then the public unveiling is 3 o'clock on Saturday. So that's the plan. Hopefully. No pressure.
No. But I did some unveiling when the wall was not finished, so it's fine.
Go for it.
I'm curious who's doing the thank you. Who's doing the actual painting, especially inside San Quentin? Are incarcerated folks doing that?
Yeah, so we have some of the incarcerated people who are helping me. We have some of the staff today. We are actually the chance with the warden. That's how we say it. He came and he even brought his mom, who's an artist, which is very interesting. So she came and she painted with us. So yeah, so the idea is like I trace, the artwork, and then it's like paint by color. I put each color and then they fit up, and then I come back, with Abdelaziz, my friend artist who came to help me on the project. So shout out to him, and yeah, so we finishing hopefully the piece tomorrow there.
We were hoping to have more incarcerated folks and artists participate, but where the mural's happening in San Quentin, as he alluded to, it's like a new education center that the governor funded to be built. And so it's an active construction zone, and there's a breach in the wall. And so it unfortunately excluded, most people, most of the population from participating. And yeah, it would have been nice if they had found some workarounds, but that's kind of where things landed. But we're still excited about the ones who were able to participate, and that it's going to be an enduring mural that everyone going to classes there will see.
Yeah,
that's part of dealing with CDCR and the bureaucracy. It needs to change, right? So.
Yeah. For what it's worth, we're super grateful to San Quentin and to the warden and to all of the people in the administration at San Quentin who have helped make this possible. While things have not always gone the way that we wanted, especially with not having all of the incarcerated people that we hope to paint. They've moved the barrier for us, and they've helped make this transformation possible. And to that end, we're grateful.
This question is directed at LC. A total of how many artwork and murals have you done in your lifetime? And also that last screen picture, the artwork that's surrounded by buildings, is that inside San Quentin, that artwork?
The one in the picture on the... No, the one that you saw... No, this one is... No, this one is in Cairo. It's inside the... garbage collector neighborhood, so it's we call that an anamorphic piece. It goes over 52 facade, and so you have to stand on the mountain to see it.
Cairo, Egypt?
Yeah? In
Cairo, Egypt?
Yeah, Cairo in Egypt, yeah, exactly.
That's in Cairo, Egypt.
Yeah.
The garbage.
Yeah, garbage city, but I don't like to call it like that,
Oh,
And this is the place, actually, these people, it's a community of 70,000 people, mostly Coptic Christian, who have developed the most powerful recycling system in the world, and they totally segregated. And the idea of this project was to create a piece that you can only see from one vantage point. And so it was like, sometimes if you want to change, your opinion about somebody, maybe you should, just change your point of view. And so I think what we're doing also in San Quentin has a lot to do with perception. So
That was in the junkyard.
this one, no, it's not a junkyard.
Junkyard.
It's we can call it a slum, you know. But it's one of the most beautiful places that I visited, honestly.
A total of how many artwork and how many murals have you done so far?
How many? I don't know. I cannot. I should count. I know, but I thank God I've been able to do a lot, and I hope I will continue like that.
Where do you sell them at?
Where do I sell them at? I have galleries who take care of this. I don't sell anywhere me.
So the wall in San Quentin, is it facing out, is it at least facing a courtyard or something, or is it inside a building itself?
Yeah, it's inside the new, how you call it?
Education.
Education center. Yeah, so it's inside. So it's out. I mean, yeah, it's the size of, I mean.
It's like 35
No,
feet.
no, less than this. Less than this. Yeah.
But it's like, what, 300 feet long or something like that? I mean, it's a big
in feet.
mural.
I don't know meter. Yeah, it's quite long.
Over 100 meters.
So is it, and then I see there's some, I was looking at it before, there's some names or some writing, so that's also.
No, the names, they will be erased. Actually, the name is just a technique that I use. So it started back in the days. I used to write the name of my kids on the wall, and then I used to erase it. I mean, have it covered with a painting, and then people start asking me, can you please write my name? And then I start receiving like requests from people that I don't even know on Instagram asking me to write their name as well. And then I was like, look, I'm just going to use that as a grid, you know, when I do like large, very big. Yeah, and so everything will be erased, but the idea is like to have the name. So we have the name of the inmates, you know, on the wall, main name of people who pass by, name of people from the library, you know, so yeah, people from my family, people from Instagram as well. Yeah, so yeah.
And just the last question, if, are we gonna be able to see these online or at least something soon?
What-
Pictures
of-
of the ones in San Quentin?
The San Quentin one?
Yeah.
Actually, like you just go outside here and you see it because this is exactly the same one. no, I mean like we. Yeah.
As far as the San Quentin mural, yeah, there's a couple things you can do. One is to visit the sanquentinskunkworks.org website, and there'll be media and things going up there, of course. Also, there is a sign-up sheet in the back by the refreshments. So if you want to put your name and email, then we can follow up with kind of some links to things like that, including an archive of all the different stories that we collected from the inside for this project, which is sort of part of the project as well. So all those things are available for folks. Again, that's sanquentinskunkworks.org. And real quick, I'll just say skunkworks for those of you who don't know. We don't like raise orphan skunks or anything like that. But what we do is it's a term from the tech industry, like a top secret innovation lab. And that's what we are. We're trying to reform prison from the inside out. So we're an innovation lab using the lived experience of those inside combined with kind of the expertise of professionals and in the community. And it's that sort of synergy of people coming together and that mixing. That's where our power lies. And that's, what LC talks about too, with wanting this whole project to be about bridging the inside and the outside with these, murals that are exactly the same. Yeah.
We have a question right here. How did you come to choose El Cid as your artist, knowing that all of his work is in Arabic and that it won't be really read by that many people inside San Quentin?
Sorry, I was distracted for a second. What was the question?
How did you come to choose El Cid as your artist?
So that was actually all. Thank you. That was actually all Kai. So when they came to me with the mural project, at the time we were a very small organization. We had only a handful of outside volunteers. We're all still volunteers on the outside, but we were all overtaxed. And so my only request was, look, I'm happy to do murals. I think this is a great idea, but let's try to keep it so the people who are already overtaxed, our volunteers with big hearts, aren't feeling stressed and anxious about having to get this done. So that was my concern. So Kai did all the research. He put a list of artists together, and so we just started reaching out to artists. He started with Faith 47. I believe Joe was your contact, right, initially? Yeah, it wasn't you. So Joe Garcia is one of he's our outreach director. he has done a great deal of work in putting this whole project together, and we're indebted to him for that. Unfortunately, he hurt his knee and wasn't able to be here tonight, and so, I mean, he could give a much better account of this than I could. But essentially, we just reached out to artists who were interested in working with community and working with incarcerated people. It's not. I don't want to speak for everybody, but there is still a stigma associated with incarceration, and so for some people that was a turnoff for sure.
And I'll add too that your project in Cairo really caught our attention, right? Because not only is it an amazing piece of art and the whole 3D aspect, and you can only see it all from a certain perspective, and it's on multiple buildings, so we're like, yeah, that is really badass and awesome. But as you said, you were showing how if you look at a situation or at a people from a different perspective, you see them in a different light. Yeah. And it was really his commitment to, being able to convey those kind of messages, and his commitment to wanting to have his, incarcerated people, system impacted people participate as much as possible. All of those things, that's something you're known for, wanting to, work with the community. So.
Yeah. But also, you mentioned about the Arabic. Do you know the song from Stromae, Papa Oute? Papa Oute. You know what does that mean? Okay. Do you know the song from him that say Alors on danse? You know what does that mean? Okay, exactly. That's my point. But you can dance on it. You enjoy it. You know what I mean? And so it's not about Arabic. It's about, I think, Arabic calligraphy for me speaks to the soul before the eyes. So there is a I would say that a kind of poetry, in it that you don't need to understand. You know what I mean? Even somebody who read Arabic cannot decipher what I'm writing. Even me, sometimes I get lost into what I do. So I just follow the letter. But what I'm saying is like you don't read it. It's not typography. I'm not writing a message. I'm trying. Calligraphy is the art of beautifying the script. And for me, I don't see this as an obstacle. Me painting using Arabic as my medium. When, for example, somebody will use Latin language and will paint in the Arab world or like in China or in Japan, we always see it when it comes here, like for example in Europe or in the US, he's painting in Arabic, or he's painting in Chinese or in Japanese. I think, I'm from Tunisia. In Tunisia, everything is written in French. Nobody complain, And so I think we should try to, erase. I think I don't want to say it's a fake ID, but that's a kind of, a topic that we bring up, but I don't think, I think for me it's totally normal. And to be honest with you, I painted in more like out of the Arab world than in the Arab world, So Arabic is just a medium, and that's the way I use it. And I think people, when they see it, they will be first, the attention will be caught by the aesthetic. So they see the aesthetic is like, oh, I like it or I don't like it. And then they will be, okay, what's that? Maybe somebody will say like, this is Arabic script. I say, oh, does it say something? And they will say, oh, yes, it says this. This is from this writer. And they say, why did he write this here? And then, so there's different layers. So.
Yeah, we like that it sparks curiosity.
Enam?
Your impact with community, because I think what you do is so intimate. You're going into communities that often don't have access to art, and like working with incarcerated folks, and you're able to then have conversations. So I'd love for you to maybe talk about the impact on each other in those moments of working together and just talking about life and journeys and just sharing.
Look, I would say like more than impact, most of the effect, impact is like, there's a kind of violent aspect to it. And today we speak a lot about impact when we put numbers around that. For me, I judge a project from the human experience that I have, you know what I mean? And that's what's very important for me. And, back in the days I was like, okay, I'm gonna go there. For example, when I did Perception in Cairo, I came with this kind of, I don't say like colonizer ID. I'm gonna come and help them, and and bring them, bring attention to them. When, they created the most powerful recycling system in the world, and so you go to places like that, and you think you're gonna add something to them, and you leave, and you're like, actually, they added more to you than you did to them, you know. And I think even here, like, you know, like coming to St. Quentin, speaking, you know, like with Kai since a year, like with Joe, and the, you know, I mean, the inmate that I met in the past few days, and also like the staff, he give you like a different, I think, you open up actually your mind on stuff, you know, and then I think it changes your perception of people also the way you look at yourself, you know, and the way you start thinking and questioning yourself when you're facing a situation change. So I think that's maybe the effect that it brings.
What's been the most transformative conversation you've ever had with someone in the community that's really kind of changed you as a person?
I think it's a long-term thing, you know what I mean? So it's, I try to stay in touch with, I mean, I'm in touch with almost everybody. You know, so I mean, not on a daily basis, but you know, for example, I have like this woman from Afghanistan. She was a refugee that I met in Lesvos. I was doing a project there, and she reached the camp where I was doing the project 6 months before I arrived, and people told me, oh, you need to meet Bibi Zara. She's an artist, and then she was painting actually flowers. That was a reminder of, I mean, it helps her remember her garden in Kabul. And then I was like, okay, have you ever painted the wall? She's like, no. So I'm like, let's paint together, you know. So she used a pencil, you know, to trace her flower, and then I spray painted it, you know, and she was watching me like to make sure I didn't make any mistake, you know. And then she, actually 3 weeks after I left Lesvos in Greece, her son texted me, said, you know, we got our paper to immigrate to Germany. So I was like, wow, that's a cool idea. That was a good news. So I think a few months after, I decided, you know, we did a collab. So we did the wall, and then we made a lithograph that we sold, and you know, like part of the profit went to her. And she couldn't travel to Paris to sign the lithograph, so I had to go to visit her in Germany. And then, you know, just this for me, it's you just do like you do a painting, and then you don't know the impact. I mean, like the effect. And so she texts me, like she called me on WhatsApp. It's so funny, like she don't speak English, I don't speak Farsi. And she sent me like, you know, some of her sketches, the artwork that she creates. And recently she used to draw a lot with pencil, and now she's into acrylic. So she sent me like, you know, she had the easel and stuff. So it's cute, you know. And so that's, I think, the beauty of that. You know. So I mean, the piece, I don't know what's the piece in Greece, where is it, if it's been erased or not. But what I kept is everything, like all those little stories.
Thank you. So you mentioned that they run a newspaper, St. Quentin. So I'm a student at UC Berkeley School of Journalism. So I'm very proud of the fact that we help run that program. So I just wanted to mention that. But thank you for being here. And I was curious about your process. So you said, I think you mentioned that you came here a week ago, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, 5 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thursday.
but you had this. The team had this process, listening sessions, and like, how do you incorporate the stories that you listen to? Is like in your artwork, especially in this artwork. Like, how do you incorporate those stories?
You know, I remember. I think after the second conversation with the third, Joe sent me a link with a lot of stories. You know, and that I read, and for me it was very important to translate, you know, what Skunkworks was doing. You know, it was not, like I said, it was not coming to beautify the prison. For me, it was beyond that, you know, and so I was really careful, and that's why I didn't accept the project straight away. You know, I really wanted to be sure that I had something meaningful before I come. And I was supposed to come in September, but I had an injury, me too, you know. I mean, 8 months ago, so for a few months I couldn't walk. And so I came here, like, the idea was to come in September, maybe spend some time here, and then come back to do the project, but I managed to prepare everything in advance and come to create the art piece. Yeah.
How do you incorporate those?
I mean, it's not incorporating the stories, it's like seeing the stories, seeing, you know, what I think we're trying to share with the public today, and saying, okay, how I can portray that in the best way, in my own way. You know what I mean? And then the stories of the people comes during the process. By having everybody coming, being part of the process, they take ownership of the piece, and you know, like, life goes on. I leave San Francisco, and the piece belongs to them. Yes.
Hi. You'll be next. Go ahead, Mac. Hi, you mentioned that the human experience is very important to you. I wonder if there was a moment while working on this project here, you kind of like, this is it, this is what it's about, you know, while working on the piece.
Usually, I don't realize that when I'm doing it. It always come after. You know, I will remember somebody telling me something, and then I was like, actually, that's what he meant at this time. You know, it's rarely in the moment. I register a lot of stuff, a lot of information, and then, yeah, a few months later, like, I would be like, oh, okay, that's what. They just come like that, you know, so, but I think, you know, yeah, I collect moments, you know, that's how I should say that. I will cherish some moment more than others within like these 10 days we're spending here. And then the goal is also to come back. I think the idea is not to just come once, but to come back and see how something else can be done. I don't know, we talk with the warden. Maybe I think they have this idea of creating an art gallery or an art center inside, inside the prison. And if I can help, you know, bringing some creator into this, friends who can help doing that. And there is like amazing artist I met, I forgot his name, last week, like a tough guy, like with tattoos. Yeah, inside. Connor, I forgot. But he does amazing
It doesn't
stuff.
really narrow it down.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's true, yeah, true, that's such a stereotype, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, he was amazing. He came with one canvas, and I thought it was a picture, and actually it was oil painting, you know, and we also have, like, one of the inmates who's painting with us. His wife, she's an artist, and so she's coming to paint on Saturday with us. She's driving from Sacramento, so, yeah. So I think the moment we're creating, like, when I will remember that this woman who came, and she will be painting, we're trying to make her paint the part that her husband is painting inside the prison, you know, so they're living kind of like same moment, you know. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Amazing project. Love it. My question, though, is for Skunkworks. So with the largest condemned population, right, in the country, California, and a missing link to what was at San Quentin before was the largest death row in the country. And so with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people now mainlined, they're still here and people don't really think about them or know about them unless they know them. So I'm wondering if a thought has come across your mind of maybe doing an homage or some form of project that incorporates, because there's a lot of really talented artists in that population. So to do a mural project using some of their art with the people from the other side of the wall. I don't know if you've seen the project Sumud in Oakland. So something along those lines where there's a connectivity and a conversation and an illuminating, because I get in the conversation all the time with people who think we don't have a death row now that people have been mainlined. So until we don't have people sentenced to death, until we don't have executions in line, I'm wondering if there's a way of Skunkworks maybe having some part of this conversation.
So are you offering to volunteer? That's kind of what I heard out of that.
You go. So, I'm sorry to hear that. So one of the problems, well, one of the things that, CDCR, right? There is so much that needs to change with the criminal justice system, and we can only do it one step at a time. We're still a relatively small organization. I think it's an absolutely lovely idea. I can imagine some hurdles we would have if that was the case, right? If we already have security problems with having regularly incarcerated people come paint.
No, I don't mean physically come in. I mean they're painting, so the painting is like Sumud.
Right.
Like the painting is on
okay.
the wall, and then people.
Yeah.
So like that's how. There's been there's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's an absolutely lovely idea. It's not on our bucket list at the moment. We have 2 other programs that we run nonstop. One of them is we call them our First Friday gaming events. We did some research that showed that people who play tabletop games had better pro-social outcomes, right? And so we want to get as many people as we can to take part in pro-social behavior. We run a chess club inside San Quentin. this goes to the organizational structure as a whole, but we have our group of incarcerated volunteers, our impact team. We run what's called the Leadership Foundry, right? We're trying to turn our incarcerated volunteers into community leaders. So when they come home, and most of them will come home, they will have the skills needed to impact their communities. There is so much wrong with the criminal justice system, and we can only go one step at a time, but I do think it's an absolutely lovely idea, and we will keep it in our heads.
And their sentences are arbitrary, so
No. Yeah.
So it's pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to mention too, there are a lot of other organizations working in the, in the art space with incarcerated, including Empowerment Avenue that I work with. Yeah, great. We have some people here tonight. There's Life on Art. We have some folks here. They do amazing work. There's a whole ecosystem, and I think one of the shared threads for all those organizations is that, art and the creative process is something that humanizes people no matter what. And it also liberates you to participate in the creative process no matter where you are, right? Like there's that documentary, Songs from the Hole, right? About a guy who was stuck in this tiny cell with no stimulus, no nothing, and he just had all these songs start coming to him, right? So that is something that we can harness to speak up for, making changes in people's lives and hopefully changing the system too, even as, the abolitionist movement works to create alternatives to where we don't need prisons and we don't need, punitive approaches. But at least for San Quentin Skunk Works, we have a more narrow focus right now. But we will be doing more murals on the inside and those types of ideas, right? And I think that is worth a conversation that we'll have, because it did house the people who were condemned for a long time, and so having some kind of homage to that from all the different perspectives would be powerful. So that's a good way to do it. All right, I do want to make sure we get to some other questions. Also, a reminder to sign up in the back, the sign-up sheet. And real quick before we get to one other question, quick question for you. What got you into calligraphy? What got you into your art originally?
I've been painting actually and drawing since I was a kid, and I initially wanted to do animation. I wanted to work for Disney, and then it didn't work out. But yeah.
Disney, where are you? You missed out.
Yeah, no, but no, it's cool. Now today, if I can do like a voiceover of one character of Disney, it would be fun. I would love that.
Pepe Le Pew?
Yeah. No, no, but there was that, and then actually in the late 90s, I discovered graffiti. I was not really serious about it. I used to be more a b-boy. I used to break dance, so I was really focused into that. And
stay later. We're gonna have a demonstration.
No. I'm too old now. So it was that, and then I had like I said, this kind of identity crisis in France, not knowing if I was going in Tunisia during the summer for visiting the family. People were telling me I was not Tunisian, and in France I was not French for the French people. And then both of them, they made me feel I had to pick, between being French or Tunisian. And then I was like, look, my parents come from here, and they migrate from Tunisia to France. I was like, I'm Tunisian. And I realized I didn't know how to read and write Arabic. I used to speak the Tunisian dialect, which is an Arabic dialect. And so learning how to read and write Arabic, I discovered calligraphy. But calligraphy, you have to learn it from a master, who learned it from a master, and then it goes like 14 centuries back. I didn't find any master calligrapher to teach me, so I just started, just reproducing, and without knowing it, I was breaking some rules apparently, and creating my own style. And then there was the more I was digging into that, the more I was realizing that I wouldn't be able to do what I do if I was not French. And so then I was like, okay, so actually I'm cool with that. I'm French, Tunisian, French, and I don't even define myself now by. So when they ask me where I'm originally from, I say historically or geographically. So historically, it's more, I think, more deep to explain than geographically. So so that's the story.
Alcide, an artist and a great human being. So thank you. Oh, okay. So we have more time for some questions? Okay, great. All right. Looks like we got somebody in the back.
Yeah, I was just curious on who got to choose the location, because obviously it's on the location for this mural for in San Francisco is on the back of Orpheum, which is basically a theater of fine arts. And was that something that Skunkworks got to choose, LC got to choose, or was that something that the city said, this is the location that we're going to give you?
We have a very special guest that can answer that question.
Without Shannon.
Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm a volunteer for Skunkworks and run a public art organization globally, but we're located in San Francisco. Many people may be familiar with Paint the Void. We painted over 350 murals in San Francisco during COVID, so that's sort of where we got our start with murals in the city. We have some artists here, so thank you guys for coming. I was very inspired by all the things that these guys said, so really wanted to find and very admire Alcide's work. And so I think that to make that really prominent connection between San Quentin and San Francisco, we needed a very powerful, strong wall where a lot of people would walk by, a lot of foot traffic. I think it's a really interesting intersection as well. We're working with many different jurisdictions, the Civic Center, mid-market. There's a lot of issues in San Francisco in the news about like revitalizing downtown San Francisco and trying to change the landscape of San Francisco, which are also resonate, I think, deeply with the project and wanting to change from the inside out what's happening in San Quentin. But really, I mean, Elsie, you wanted a wall that spoke to a lot of people. And so when I worked with Murad a little bit, your agent, on that, we found a couple of different places. My job is to help place artists work in the world and really respect what the artists want. So we were going, I just go try to find places to put art and find permitting and all the red tape. And we found a couple different walls and they didn't feel like they fit. They weren't big enough, or they weren't prominent enough, or they were hidden walls. They weren't going to be seen by a lot of people. We wanted something that you could see up close and also stand really far away, and you could see the whole, if you do walk outside, it sprawls 3 walls. So if you need a different vantage point, you need a different perception to see the whole thing. And I think the biggest part is that you can speak to this LC, but you really wanted to be able to see people painting. There's a community painting day on Friday from 12 to 4, and the idea of having both incarcerated folks paint in San Quentin and their family members, like he's mentioned, paint here, in San Francisco was important. So we wanted to be able to have the perspective of seeing stuff from far away and close up. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Did that answer your question? I hate
So I have a question. You mentioned that this is the second mural as part of your project. So I'm curious about the inmates' feedback, or like how did they resonate with the first mural and the second one, now that you brought some colors inside? And then to Alcide, I want to hear if you have any insights on your color choice. I haven't seen the mural yet. I can't wait to go see it, but anything that we should pay attention to.
Okay, yeah, as far as the first 2 murals inside San Quentin, that was by Faith 47 and her son. They're on, outside walls as some of the housing units, like when you're walking to go to programs or go to Chow, you walk past those murals. And so, yeah, the feedback has been really positive. Folks have talked about how it changes their morning, like their morning routine. It can be kind of dreary and difficult, and then they see this like colorful mural. The one Faith 47 did, it's beautiful. There's a person, there's a dove, there's color, it's inspiring. And so that's something that people have talked about. And the one her son did has a lot of colors. It's a little bit abstract, and it's on the North Block, which is, it's just, the buildings are so drab there. And so you see this burst of color in these designs, and it just almost like shocks the system a little bit of like, oh, this is something different. It's like a little act of resistance or something. So that's sort of the feedback we've gotten. And I think one of the things with those murals, since it wasn't in a construction site, we did have more of the folks who are incarcerated participating. And we look forward to doing more of that. There's actually a lot of wall space in San Quentin if you add it all up. So the idea is to maximize the participation to the extent that we can. And we also want to get to where we have some murals that are done by incarcerated artists as well as staff folks working with them. So.
Yeah, just to add on to a little bit of what you said there, Josh. I speak with our incarcerated co-founder, Kai, a couple times a day, basically every day. And most times that I talk to him, he tells me about how happy people are about the mural and about how they'll come up to him and tell them how it's changed their day and changed their routine and they feel so much better. And so we're grateful to have given that to San Quentin and to those guys.
Yeah, and for the color, I really wanted to create something vibrant, that popping out, and it's really like a feeling. I cannot explain it. But what was interesting, it was one of the inmates yesterday, Jeremy. I used a lot of orange and blue, and he's like, "Did you choose the color on purpose? Because this is the color of the outfit, And I was like, "No, actually." So that was a good remark, And I didn't do that on purpose, but yeah, that's what he saw. So that's funny the way people interpret that, and actually like that. He was like, "Yeah, I think this is cool that, like, we're part of the mural in a certain way, So yeah.
Hi. I'm wondering if people on the inside or people that have moved on from San Quentin have had a part in the rehabilitative plan that Newsom made, and if they've been allowed to participate in the program and the plans, and if money is allocated to painting walls and adding more color, things like that. I've seen it. I haven't read the whole thing, but
To start, we're entirely funded by the big hearts of individual donors, from family members of incarcerated individuals, from our friends outside. None of the money that we've used to do these murals has been government funded. Now, have we been involved in the EVC building planning? Not exactly. I mean, we did come to them and ask, "Hey, can we paint a mural on your construction site?" And they said, "What?" And so to that extent, absolutely, they were accommodating. They're excited to have art there. They're behind the idea of turning that area into an art gallery where people can go and see color. Now, we haven't been, as an organization, we haven't been entirely involved in the whole California model rehabilitation plan. We're 3.5 years old now as an organization, and so we missed the upstart on that. But at this moment, we're just happy to have all of the support that we can get from the administration and from Governor Newsom's office in regard to at least having the murals inside.
Yeah, that's a longer conversation than we can have here.
Yeah.
But I will say that, the CDCR headquarters, the facility director has been a huge supporter of this project. And CDCR made an in-kind donation of over $200,000, close to $300,000 to prep the wall. There was extensive prepping that had to be done before it could, the mural could be painted and have like a lasting mural there. And so that was part of their donation. But yeah, we are funded through individual donations as well as some grants from foundations. And generally our approach is to try to, we do some policy stuff, but we want to like mix people together, right? And we want to do things that are a little bit out of the box or a little bit innovative. And they're small. You could argue, well, is this going to make a meaningful difference? Who knows? But what it is it can serve as seeds or ripples that will eventually get to something that is truly meaningful. So,
yeah, part of the goal of Skunkworks, right? As a Skunkworks, as an innovation lab, is to test out ideas for criminal justice reform, right? We start small. We collect the data on the programs, and then we can say, hey, look, this is the stuff that worked. This is the stuff that didn't work. This is what we're going to improve on, and we can give a plan to other carceral facilities so that they can implement the same sorts of same sorts of programs.
Other questions?
What's the name of the art school that you study art in? And do you have names for the artworks that you have on the screen, including the one that's surrounded by buildings?
The name of the art school? No, I didn't study art. I didn't went to art school. I don't know.
You went to the school of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think practice and, sometimes. Yeah. I think I took three class of watercolor back in the days. But no, that's true. No, really, that's true. Look, I think my parents, they've been very supportive. I mean, I'm coming from like a modest family, and back in the days, I have this memory. I took 3 class. I told my dad there is this woman, she giving like drawing classes. I was 16. And then back in the day, I think like the 2 hours class were $15. And then, so I went just for the story. I went like for three times. And then after 3 weeks, my dad told me, did you learn anything? I said like, yeah, look, this is what I did. And he's okay, that's it. So I took, so that's why I only, sorry? I mean, okay, so the one on the right is in Paris. It's called Love is a Miracle of Civilization. This one in the middle, it's in my hometown in south of Tunisia, Gabes. So it's a mosque that they built in '94, and it's me standing here, and it's me lying down there, So just to give you the scale, But I'm wearing a pants. Just my pants the same color as the no, it's the same color as the sand, So
It's the same pants he has on tonight, actually.
Yeah, exactly. That's my pants. Yeah, and the one on the left, it's so this one is a mosque that was built in '94, and then every summer when I used to go to visit the family, I used to see it, and then in 2012, a friend of mine, he said like, why don't we paint the minaret? And so I went, I approached the imam of the mosque. He's like, thank God you came. And then I had to ask the governor, and then they give me the authorization, and I painted it. And then the big circle, it's a sculpture called Mirage. So it's a ephemeral sculpture. So I destroyed it. It was about a love story. I think everybody knows Romeo and Juliet, but in the 7th century, in a place called Wadi al-Qura, which is in Saudi Arabia, there was a girl called Buthaina. She was in love with this guy called Jamil. And Jamil used to write poetry about this girl. And when this poem were like so good that they got spread, all around the region. And when the father heard that those poems were about his daughter, he forbid their marriage, their union. And so the guy, Jamil, died of sadness. And so so it was a kind of faded love story. So the piece, when you come inside the desert, you could barely see it. It was the same color as the sand. And then after the exhibition, because it was a mirage, I had to destroy it. Yeah. That's the one I was talking about. And the top one is a sculpture that was installed in Dubai 8 years ago.
So I think we have time for one more question.
Thank you. Ken Darvis, Harshal, journalist, KQED. I'm writing a piece about this. I'm interested. I've been studying murals for years, and I know that murals fade and get defaced. Yeah. And I'm wondering if you have a plan of action for dealing with that. You mentioned coming back, but how else do you mitigate that?
I think there's Shannon who's in charge of this, So look, me as an artist, I don't get attached to the artwork. So I have some artwork that has been vandalized or destroyed the same day, and it's fine for me, because if somebody comes now on the wall and paint on it and like go over me, like I get mad. But once I'm done, it's fine, because I don't. That's not my dad's street, So I don't own the wall. But we decided to just paint above like 10 feet. Now I speak in feet, like 3 meters high, But yeah, so that's the point. I really don't get attached to any artwork that I create. So for me, once it's done, it belongs to the street. There is one guy, actually 2 stories. One actually is in San Francisco. One guy, for example, me, I don't sign my artwork in the streets. So there's one guy in Tunisia, he signed one of my pieces. He wrote El Cid. Yeah. Another guy, he came and he changed the color of one letter, like as well in Tunisia. But in San Francisco, I have the coolest stories here in your place, in your city. So 15 years ago, I came and I painted in a city called Fremont, I think. Fremont, not far from Oakland. I don't know. I know it's the Bay Area. And I had one guy was helping me on the wall, like assisting me. And when I left, he went to see the guy who commissioned me the art piece. He said, Elcid was not happy about what he'd done. You know, he wished he had more time, so he told me to finish the work. Yeah. And so he added his work onto my artwork. Yeah, that was actually, it's a funny story. I was mad at this time, but when I think of it, it's funny. And then, so I don't know if I told them I was mad. I say erase the piece, you know, because this is not cool. So I don't know if the piece is still there in Fremont. So yeah, but yeah, cool.
Well, his first few murals were in watercolor. That didn't last very long.
I just had a question about, you said there's usually a message behind every piece. So I was wondering what the message is for this piece that you've done.
Here so in San Francisco, I used a quote from this guy called Armistead Maupin, who is a writer from the city, and he wrote a series of novels called The Tales of the City, and he wrote that over the course from, I think, 1976 to 2022. And in one of those novels, he said the world changes in direct proportion to the number of people willing to be honest about their lives. So that's what he means. That's so in Arabic. And so this is what I'm painting. And for me, it was important really to have the message relevant to what we're doing. So anybody around the world can reflect on this. And if I was just painting, for example, the Orpheum Museum, maybe I would have picked something else. But because we are in the context of this San Quentin, I think that's, for me, like, that's the best message I could have found. And that's what I love, actually, in my work. That's the part that people don't see, like the research time. So there is some project that I didn't do because I couldn't find the word. You know, I was supposed to do a project in Bangladesh in 2023. I swear I looked for everything. I couldn't find anything. I even had book shipped to me, translated by friends who are Bangladeshi, and I couldn't find. And then the revolution happened in 2024, I think, in Bangladesh. So then everything that I had planned fell off. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and in San Quentin, we're going to apply a sealant over the mural. And one thing we generally don't have to worry about is people with spray paint. So.
Just curious, I like art in religious settings and stuff, and I find it tricky as well. But with the mosque, did the imam, did they have any idea of a certain scripture or something, like we need this passage, or they said,
I could have drawn a blue elephant, I think. He wouldn't say anything. Yeah, I mean, he didn't ask me anything. He didn't ask any color, nothing. And that was the cool thing. And I still have the key of the mosque after 14 years, you know. So, yeah.
So did you just find a saying or something that would in your heart?
So, no, for this one, because it was a mosque, so I was like, okay, it's a mosque, so let me find something that would come from the Quran. And there was a verse that says, it's Surah 49, I think, verse 13, that says, "O humankind, we have created you from a male and a female and made you people and tribes so you may know each other." So for me, that was not a message about the mosque or Islam. It was more like a universal message and a call for. And it was also the context. That's super important. I picked this message, this verse, because we're 1 year after the revolution. There was so many clashes in Tunisia between secular and religious people. And so the goal was to bring this message from the Quran about peace and tolerance, and not tolerance, more acceptance. So yeah, but he didn't ask anything. He was really happy. For him, he said, we had an interview with him where he said, "I hope that this building will become the Eiffel Tower of Gabes," or and it became, now they use it in so many ads in Tunisia, but they don't pay me for it.
Thank you to everyone who helped make this possible. We have a handful of Skunkworks volunteers here today, and we're just so thankful for everyone's support for the project and for the organization, and thank you all for coming out.
And again, there's a community join to help do some painting along the mural. That is on Thursday, and then Saturday at 3 p.m. at the Orpheum Theater is the kind of public unveiling. And then remember, if you want to sign up to receive any kind of updates or follow-up, there's a little sign-up sheet back there. So thank you for coming, everyone.